Hey guys, what's up? Carter here. It is Saturday night. I'm enjoying some very delicious beverages, and there's my neighborhood with my truck out front for everybody to see this video. This is going to be another Para 2 test. So this video is coming after the cardboard boxes, the resharpening, after the tip drop and the frame drop, you know, where I just dropped the whole knife. And I do got to add something. I got to add a couple things. First off, the tip drop did bend the tip a little bit. The very tip. It did bend it. So there's that. Second of all, after the cardboard test, I mentioned that the lockup was further along than it had been, that it had moved. Not true. What actually happened is all that use loosened up all these screws, these frame screws. And for some reason, the Para 2 is not that tight tolerance-wise in terms of how these screws go. So if those aren't tight, then there's quite a bit of slop. And so that was actually allowing the lockup to progress further than it used to because of that slop, which is also why there's a big centering issue with a lot of Para 2s, because if it's not adjusted just right, it can when they go to tighten these body screws, it'll be kind of off-centered because it kind of, you know, it can kind of move this way. The scales can move alternate directions, which changes the pitch of the blade. So an easy fix for that, which I have a video out there, basically real quick, I'll just go over it. What you do is you tighten up this pivot here, the only pivot, tighten up the pivot, then loosen up all the body screws, then get something to wedge the blade in the direction that you want it to move, so the opposite, that it's off center, and then tighten up the body screws. And with the Para 2, it works for all knives usually. Well, no, sometimes it works for all knives, sometimes it doesn't, but it seems like the Para 2s, it works almost every time. I've heard a lot of success doing that method with these Para 2s. Anyways, so the point of this video sorry, I had to finish that beer, is we are going to stab it through some cans. This will test two things. One, its ability as a beer shotgun utensil for anybody that likes to shotgun beers. You know, you obviously have to open up a hole to allow it to flow. And also, it'll be a finish test, because doing that to, let's see here, actually what we want to do is cram these down here, but that is quite the finish test, and I have done this with the Emerson Roadhouse when I was kind of putting it through its paces, and it did not fare against the can test all that well. So let's do it. Let's stab this through. Oops. That one was not. Oops. Hit a piece of steel on that one. Oh wow, yeah. Yep, that took some of the finish off, I guess you could say. The old stab and can trick. And I'm pretty sure that it's probably not too sharp. And I've messed that tip up even more. But, you know, after all of this, I'm going to do a major reprofiling on this blade. So I'm going to, basically when I'm satisfied with any and all testing, I'm going to take this, really get that edge back to perfect, and then just leave it there and not mess with it anymore. Alright guys, that was some beer can stabbing. A lot of fun for those of you that like to shotgun as well as see how this DLC fares. I would say, you know, without cleaning this up, it definitely fared better than Emerson's coating. However, it's obviously, you know, not impervious to stabbing through aluminum. It does mess with the coating. But the if this was an Emerson, I mean, all this would just be shiny metal. Just it completely takes it off. So yeah, held up better than that. Alright guys, have a good weekend. Okay guys, this is after the beer can stabbing test, and I wasn't going to do an inside video, but I found something quite surprising that you might be interested in. So there's the finish. I think it actually looks kind of cool. Kind of scratched up like that. It's kind of sweet. It's amazing though what a few stabs into a can can do to a finish. But anyways, what I find interesting is I was expecting it to be completely dull, and stabbing it through that can, oops, maybe I spoke too soon, didn't really seem to affect the sharpness all that much. Of course, some of this is technique, you know. People that cut paper, it's not all just sharpness. You've got to see, look at that. Got some kind of curlicues there. So yeah, I would have thought that this would have completely dulled the edge, but for some reason it didn't. In fact, it seems to have not impaired it whatsoever. It's about, I mean, I didn't do extensive cutting beforehand, but just, you know, based off of after I sharpened it, seems like it's about there. Maybe slightly less. It seemed like it was shaving, well, that's it's shaving hair. I mean, it's not, you know, razor blade, but it wasn't that way before, so that's pretty interesting. Yeah, that stabbing it through an aluminum can did not seem to affect the sharpness of the blade at all. It tore up the finish, and I jacked up the tip a little, but that's just because I stabbed into the steel of the thing I was working on. But other than that, you can stab away at aluminum cans without worry of dulling your blade, in case you wanted to know.